Welcome to the Fantasy Football Today mailbag. I'm Jamie Eisenberg. That's Dave Richard. That's Heath Cummings. We have your Ask FFT questions for you. Keep them coming to us on Twitter using that hashtag AskFFT. And we're going to give you all the answers that you need to help you get your lineup set for week number 2 and maybe beyond. If you have some long-term questions in regards to some dynasty leagues, certainly some keeper options moving forward, but some trade choices as well. But we're looking at your lineups here for week 2, so let's get right to it here. Top Dog Memes wants to know, who should I start as my flex in full PPR? Marquez Callaway, Myles Gaskin, Devontae Smith, DJ Chark, or Jacoby Myers? So who's the flex in full PPR? Callaway, Gaskin, Devontae Smith, DJ Chark, Jacoby Myers.
I'm going with Devontae Smith. I'm falling hard for him. I thought he looked great in week 1. Matchup against San Francisco in a secondary that continues losing bodies there. I think that he's the one that's got the highest upside.
I would go with Smith just barely over Gaskin.
Yeah, it's tough to sit Gaskin, but, you know, Smith did look good, and hopefully you see a few more pick plays involved to help Devontae Smith. That's why he got his touchdown there against Atlanta last week. Maybe the same thing happens against the Jason Verrett-less San Francisco 49ers. Aiden wants to know, should I start DJ Moore or Jalen Waddle at wide receiver this week? So Heath Moore did a typical Moore-type performance last week where he was very involved but didn't find the end zone once again. Waddle did find the end zone, but a little bit tougher matchup against Buffalo. Moore taking on a Saints defense that is down. Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, I would go with DJ Moore over Waddle pretty easily this week.
The reason why I like Moore better is not just the matchup, but I also think that this is going to be a game that Carolina throws to win in. And obviously McCaffrey's going to have a hand in that, but DJ Moore will too. I think he scores.
Oh, that'd be nice. Only 10 total touchdowns in his time in the NFL so far. So touchdowns have typically escaped him. It'd be nice to see him get in the end zone in week 2 and maybe a lot in 2021. All right, start 1. Saquon Barkley, Tyler Boyd, Myles Gaskin, or Brandon Ayuk?
I think you've got to go Gaskin.
Gaskin.
All right, so Gaskin will be the guy you start here. So hopefully he delivers in that matchup against Buffalo. Next question. Start James Robinson or Melvin Gordon as a number 2 running back. Dave, who do you like?
I like Robinson this week. I think he bounces back. I think Jacksonville feeds him, but I like Melvin Gordon more. Better matchup for him. Broncos can run to win.
I am uncomfortable with both of these backs, but I would go with Melvin Gordon.
Give me all the Melvin Gordon in this game I could possibly get. I would take both Broncos running backs over James Robinson. I think it's going to be a bad situation for him in a tough matchup against Denver, and Carlos Hyde, unfortunately, in the way. I hate saying sit James Robinson, but sit James Robinson. Need 3, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Chris Godwin, Devontae Smith.
What a team.
Dave, who are you going with?
It's the first 3 names. It's Hopkins, it's Jefferson, it's Robinson, it's stud wide receivers.
Ooh, I really like Hopkins is the one for sure. I really struggle with benching one of Godwin, Robinson, and Jefferson this week. Godwin's that matchup against the Falcons. They are so bad defensively. I think I'm actually going to sit Justin Jefferson.
Wow.
I am going to start Hopkins, I'm going to start Jefferson, and I'm going to start Godwin. Look, when you have great players, it's hard to, you got to make some tough decisions, but I think what we saw from Godwin last week, despite the fact I know Mike Evans wasn't involved, he was the target leader by far. He had the fumble. They went right back to him. He's their best receiver. I would go with Chris Godwin, Jefferson, and Hopkins. Noah Fant or Logan Thomas? Who do you like better at the tight end position?
I would go Thomas.
Noah Fant for me. He's their number 1 wide receiver right now.
Yeah, you can make a case that he is. I would go Noah Fant as well. Like Logan Thomas, but we'll see what happens with the quarterback change. But Noah Fant, I think, benefits without Jerry Jeudy in there. All right, you got Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts for week number 2. Who do you like better?
I know that Hurts was great in week 1. Dak was even better. I think Dak keeps it going against the Chargers.
I will go with Dak as well.
Like both these guys a lot, but yes, I would play Dak. This is a situation where you got to make a trade. See if somebody needs a quarterback and trade Jalen Hurts, or maybe you get a lot back in return for Dak. But try and trade one of these quarterbacks if you can. Next question. Is Trey Sermon someone I should move aggressively to pick up off waivers, just drop by another team and available on Saturday, or let sit? I would have to drop Gerald Everett to get him and maybe some fab dollars as well. Do I stand pat? I mean, that's easy. Yes, we're dropping Gerald Everett to get Trey Sermon.
100%. Now, the funny thing is going to be, what if Trey Sermon's inactive? Let's say you make this move and Sermon is inactive in week 2. That means there's trouble afoot in San Francisco and you can drop him again. So don't use too much fab to get him, but Sermon should absolutely be on fantasy rosters.
There's just not that much risk in dropping Gerald Everett.
Even if he's your number 1 tight end, look, he scored last week. You can and look, it could be it's hard to say it's a deep league because Trey Sermon getting dropped is not getting dropped in deep league, but Gerald Everett's probably your second tight end. But even if he's your first tight end, would it really surprise you if Pharaoh Brown is better than Gerald Everett rest of the way?
It wouldn't surprise me if Will Dissly was better.
How about
Will
Cole
Dissly
Kmet?
Or James? Well, I mean, you should have Cole Kmet if you don't already and drop Gerald Everett for him. But James O'Shaughnessy could be better than Gerald Everett. We just don't know. All right, I have Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, and Tyson Williams. Who should I start in PPR? That's easier starting Antonio Gibson. Next question there. Is OBJ worth holding on to? Have Deebo Samuel and Mike Evans and Will Fuller and could pick up either New England receiver instead of him. So Nelson Aguilar or Jacoby Myers. So Heath, you've been down on Odell Beckham. Would you rather have Beckham, Myers, or Nelson Aguilar for the foreseeable future?
I would rather have Beckham. The interesting question here is, do you have to start 3 wide receivers? Because if Will Fuller is not playing this week, then you may have a really interesting decision to make trying to find somebody to start this week.
It's a good point. Yeah, I'm sticking with Beckham just for the upside.
If this is PPR, I would drop Will Fuller for Jacoby Myers and just roll with him for this week. See what happens with Will Fuller. You probably could pick him up again. But if
what if Fuller plays?
I still would start Myers over him. I just don't want to trust Will Fuller. I didn't like Will Fuller coming into the draft process more than Myers. I like Myers better in PPR, so I would make that move if he's available. What about Melvin Gordon versus Tyson Williams? So we know the story with the Ravens running back situation. You got maybe 3 guys playing this week now that Devontae Freeman has been promoted from the practice squad. Melvin Gordon takes on that Jacksonville defense. Who do you like better, Melvin Gordon, Tyson Williams?
Knock out Tyson from your lineup. Melvin Gordon's the pick.
Melvin Gordon.
Yep, Melvin Gordon should be better, and hopefully Javonte Williams is as well. Kareem Hunt or Chase Edmonds in half PPR. You have both as starts.
Yeah, I do like them both this week. I'm gonna lean towards Hunt. I think he can score on top of getting a couple of catches. Edmonds might have a few more catches, but I think he's less likely to find the end zone.
Yeah, I would take Hunt in full PPR. I would definitely take him in half PPR. I like his touchdown odds a lot more.
He probably will score, and he's typically good in blowout situations, and the Browns probably blow them out. This is full PPR. It'd be Chase Edmonds easy for me, but half PPR, I think you make the case that Kareem Hunt is better. Steve says, I'm sitting Saquon. Should I play Tyson Williams or Elijah Mitchell? I think we're probably all going to say Elijah Mitchell over Tyson Williams. Correct?
Can you imagine, like 3 weeks ago, this wouldn't have even been a question that you thought you'd ask yourself, and now here we are saying to go with the 6th round rookie for San Francisco.
Benching Saquon Barkley. Hopefully things will change for him
Crazy.
moving forward. All right, looking for help with my flex this week in PPR. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DJ Moore, or Elijah Mitchell?
I'm taking Moore, especially because it's PPR.
I would give an ever so slight lean to Clyde Edwards-Helaire over DJ Moore.
In PPR, I'm going to go with DJ Moore. If this was non-PPR, half PPR, I'd go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I do think that Moore has a little bit higher catch potential than CEH. All right, next question. Sterling Shepard or Lenny Fournette? Who do you like better for this week? I'm assuming it's PPR.
If it's PPR, then I'm going to go with Shepard. There's just way too much upside with him to catch 6-7 passes. Fournette's not going to touch that.
I will go with Shepard as well.
I would go Shepard also. All right, next question. Drop Mecole Hardman for Cole Beasley. Better flex this week. Melvin Gordon, Juju Smith-Schuster, Robbie Anderson, steak and eggs. All right, so Dave, you get Hardman or Beasley? Who would you rather have?
If it's PPR, I'll take Beasley.
Non-PPR?
Non-PPR, I'm going to have Hardman on the bench because he's got some upside.
If this is the same team, I'm taking Hardman regardless of format. Because if you're benching 2 of Melvin Gordon, Juju, and Robbie Anderson, then you're probably not starting Cole Beasley ever. I would rather have Mecole Hardman on the bench in case something happens to Tyreek Hill.
And who's the better flex? Gordon, Juju, Robbie Anderson?
I will go with Juju for sure.
All right. Yeah, it's hard to get away from Melvin Gordon against that Jacksonville defense. I'll go Melvin Gordon. All right, next question. Start Rob Gronkowski or Mark Andrews. Andrews, I'm assuming, is the one that broke Blue Jays' move's heart last week. So, Heath, would you like better, Gronk or Andrews?
I will go with Andrews. He's one of those guys I'm just giving a free pass for week 1.
Dave?
Same.
Non-PPR, I might go Gronk. I think he has just as much chance to score, and that Falcons defense stinks. They gave up a touchdown to Dallas Goedert last week, so wouldn't be surprised if we get another touchdown from Gronk as well. All right, King Albo wants to know, who should I start? Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, or Jacoby Myers in PPR?
It's full PPR. I know Landry's going to have at least 5 receptions. I'm going to go with Jarvis Landry over Kareem Hunt.
I am still going to go with Kareem Hunt over Jarvis Landry. I do think Landry will have more catches. I think Hunt has a better chance of scoring, and he'll have more yards.
Both guys scored last week. Both guys scored on the ground last week. I'll go Jarvis Landry in PPR as well. Last question for this Ask FFT mailbag. Week 2, Brandon Cooks versus the Browns or Robert Woods versus the Colts. So, Dave, you like Cooks. Do you like him better than Woods?
I do not. I would rather have Robert Woods in that sweet matchup against Indy.
So now we're all agreeing Brandon Cooks is a sit.
When it comes to Allen So Random's lineup, yes, Brandon Cooks is a sit for Robert. I'd like to know who else he has on his team because I think both have an opportunity to play well this week. Check out our Fantasy Football Today podcast. You can find it wherever podcasts are available. We help you get everything you need for your lineups with ad drops for the waiver wire, with start sit for your weekly lineups, and we also like to have a lot of fun. So check out our Fantasy Football Today podcast wherever podcasts are available. Remember, keep those questions coming to us on Twitter using the hashtag AskFFT. If we don't get to them on the air, we'll certainly get to them on our social media accounts as well. For Dave, for Heath, I'm Jamie. Thanks for watching the Fantasy Football Today Ask FFT mailbag.